Hello, my name is Shreya and welcome back to another coffee discussion at CherryMinds. In our last video, if you remember, we had spoken about a higher order functioning of mental chatter and inner speech and how our newer neocortical part of the brain is responsible for it, which is our layer 3. Today, we'll be discussing the function that has been performed by the rest of the brain, which is our layer 2 mammalian part of the brain and layer 1 reptilian part of the brain. So let's go. Now, it is very important for us to note over here that these two parts of the brain, which is our mammalian and reptilian part of the brain, is ancient in terms of vertebrate evolution. So this part of the brain immensely helped our ancestors in the time of hunter-gatherer environment. Imagine a time when there was no cars, no trains, and all they had was probably a spear and fire as technology. Now, we will be talking about some of the chemicals which are present in this part of the brain. First up, we'll be talking about dopamine. As most of you must have heard about, dopamine is the reward pathway of our brain. It governs it. And when an organism performs any activity which is essential for survival and replication, the brain rewards them with this feel-good hormone called as dopamine. So when our ancestors in their hunter-gatherer environment collected food for their tribe or saved their mate from a wild beast, their brain rewarded them with this chemical called as dopamine. Now let's look at what happens in the 21st century. In the 21st century, our dopamine governs our everyday functioning, including our sleep, our appetite, our ability to store and recall memory, the ability to pay attention and concentration, and our energy levels. So, we all have sleepless nights, which causes us sleep deprivation. For some of us, we may have sleep deprivation due to college submissions or exams, or we may have deadlines to meet or targets to fulfill. Now, research has found that chronic dysregulation in the sleep causes dysregulation in the dopamine functioning as well of the brain, which causes people to then feel moody, lacking in energy, any mental or physical activity, not being able to pay attention. Now, these symptoms, if persist for more than 6 months, can also cause clinical depression and clinical anxiety. Furthermore, long-term deprivation of dopamine can also hamper the most important skill in our 21st century, which is decision-making and attention and concentration. So, now we'll be talking about the second chemical that has been produced by the lower parts of the brain. And this chemical is called adrenaline. Now imagine our hunter-gatherer ancestors. They lived in open field, unlike us living in gated housing societies. So there was a high chance that a wild beast or a wild tiger might pounce on them. Now, adrenaline as a chemical helped them either fight or flight this wild beast or a wild tiger by increasing their heart rate, reducing their body's metabolism level, and increasing glucose in the blood so that they can fight or run away from the situation. In the 21st century, it is highly unlikely that a wild tiger might pounce on us, but that doesn't mean our brain stops perceiving threat. It is continuously also still releasing fight and flight hormone of adrenaline, and this is causing us anxiety and irritability. Excess adrenaline over time causes heartache, blood pressure, and also causes weight gain. So now let's talk about third chemical which is present in our layer 1 reptilian part of the brain. This chemical, as also most of you must have heard about, is body's stress hormone called as cortisol. Imagine cortisol as our body's alarm system. It helps us curb whatever is non-essential during fight and flight survival response. Now imagine a hunter-gatherers living in an environment where they had to constantly survive from anything that can potentially kill them. In 21st century, we do not have potential threats like those that can kill us. Yet, that doesn't mean our mind stops perceiving situations as threat. So for example, if you keep on ruminating about how your boss was angry at you, or a looming deadline, or anything which causes negative emotion, your brain releases cortisol, which makes it think that it is under constant threat. So what it does is it keeps you in a constant flight and fight response. It alters your body's immune system, your digestive mechanisms, your attention and mood. So that's it. Today we learned about 3 important chemicals produced in our brain. First up, dopamine, the feel-good hormone, by layer 2. Second, adrenaline, the fight or the flight hormone, also by layer 2. And cortisol, the stress hormone, by layer 1. So now stay tuned for more. Thank you.